This is the limitless Keith Lee.
This is Brody King.
This is Angel Garza.
Will Ospreay.
Hornswoggle.
Pentagon Junior.
The Mexican Ray Phoenix.
King Ricochet.
Concrete Rose, Sunny Kiss.
And I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the Busted Wide Open.
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 Boston Wide Open.
Busted wide open. Thank you.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. I gotta do it one more time. Welcome everybody to BWO Live, coming to you from across the Busted Wide Open universe of Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. This is episode number 363 of Busted Wide Open. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. And yes, you are joining us for the final official episode of Busted Wide Open. Unfortunately, this show is ending, and this is it. But that does not mean that we will not be going out with your regularly scheduled programming. We will be going out doing what we've been doing on this show for the past 4+ years. We will be going out once again talking about what went down this week in wrestling. We know we were gone last week. Nick was out somewhere in Turks Caicos where the waters are blue, and it was really beautiful. And I was in Northern California. But no, this week we're talking about Monday Night Raw and everything that happened as a result of the fallout of Extreme Rules, which we're also going to talk about here tonight because extreme.
Not so extreme rules.
So very extreme. God, I've been waiting to shit on that pay-per-view. And we get to do that right here on this show. Finishing up, of course, with a little bit of the recap of the first few days of New Japan's G1. We're going out on top with style, Nick. We're going to be doing all kinds of wrestling talk.
You know what? I usually bring water. I'm going to cover up the brand so we don't get in trouble, but yeah.
I'm not going to cover up the brand. What
it.
Are they going to do? Stop the show?
Hey!
I figure I will drink to it. But it's time to bring out the big guns. I'm doing an Imperial
Pumpkin God, he's bringing
porter.
The pumpkin stout out.
Pumpkin stout, porter from Epic
porter,
Brewing.
Okay.
Yes, it is time.
I still think I'm in the islands, so I'm drinking my in honor of last week's trip to Turks and Caicos.
How
I'm bringing out the Caribbean Corona. Oh.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. If you're joining us live here on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook, we appreciate it. Obviously, before we get into anything, we just have to give a shout out to all of the people who have supported us over all of the years and just show a ton of love to you guys. Yeah. Because this is your show. We are here
well said. Because
you guys listened and watched and paid good money and spent your time and showed us that love. And so we that's why we were here. As long as we were here. We cannot thank you enough deeply from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. Whatever this was, we'll look back in the future and say this was.
A fun social experiment in a way of, can two guys without an army of staff and funding and all of that stuff really pull off a successful show? And yeah, I think we did it. I definitely count this as a great success, if only to acknowledge the amazing community that we've built.
Well, this is what I was going to actually point out, is that if nothing else, if nothing else, if all of our words kind of just get blown away with the sands of time, if nothing else, if there's one thing that you and I can look back on and be proud of, it's the amazing people that came together for this show in the online communities, on Facebook, in Discord, right here on the shows. If there's anything that I personally will take away and be proud of, it's seeing that and seeing all of the positivity and the wonderful people that came to our show. That made everything worth it to me. So thank you guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves pats on the back, and give yourself virtual hugs from me and Nick. We're reaching out to you.
I'm hugging the microphone.
To you, embracing you with our arms.
Yes.
But Nick,
and just as a final piece of business, we will be doing a big farewell show on Thursday. We know we owed the patrons a September bonus, so we want to make sure we cover that. But we want to make it
not a recap show, but a big farewell send-off. I know there's a lot of things that I want to recount. I spent most of last night, I spent about an hour skimming through whatever the...
Oh, jeez. It's going to be like that today?
That abomination of a pay-per-view that was on Sunday.
Are you going to be burping the whole episode?
There's no rules anymore. There's no holds barred. No holds barred!
Oh, God.
It is the final recap show, so I'm not pulling any punches anymore. I can't wait to shit all over that thing.
We're going to get there.
We're going to get there. But I just want to let everybody know, this is the final recap official show. We will be doing a farewell send-off on Thursday. Time to be determined. We'll make an announcement about when that will be. But just plan on around like 7-ish, plus or minus an hour Eastern time, 4 Pacific. Around there somewhere is usually where we kind of land on those. So just be ready for that. I know we got a ton of wrestling we wanted to go over tonight, but again, I'll echo what Ian just said. Thank you guys. Thank you. It's hard to express much more without becoming verklempt, and I'm trying to hold it together. And it was a very tough thing to come to, and I'll leave it at that. Let me catch up real quick because there's a lot of love going around. Costanza resubscribed with a tier 2 for 14 months. Once again, one final time.
And
get a little bit of chicken. Woo! Thank you very much, Costanza, for all the love and all those tier 2 subs for 14 months, dude.
Amazing.
Good Lord. Thank you very much, brother. Xander Gabriel threw in 1,000 bits. He said, I feel like I'm getting dumped.
I know the feeling, Xander. I'm so sorry, brother.
I'm going to go over here and commit seppuku. I'll be right back. Thank you very much,
Thank
Xander.
you, sir.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you
love.
very much, brother. And thank you for all the support over the years, man. Looking forward to seeing you at an indie show sometime soon, I hope.
Yeah, as soon as we can. We should be able to get back out there now. So
yeah.
Costanza threw in 100 bits, said, this is so sad. You guys will never know what this show and all the phenomenal ones have done for me. All of you are full of love, and although the show is ending, BWO for life.
Amen.
Indeed.
It will live on in some way. We have yet to determine what that way will be, but it will live on in some way.
The wrestling chats and all that stuff will stay in the Discord, so all that stuff's sticking around as long as you guys do. Thank you, Chris. Will James threw in 6,400 bits.
Good God. Will going out.
6,400 bits.
Will going out as he has lived.
With a bang.
Big ballin'. Big ballin'.
Yeah.
Big ballin' Will James. Damn. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Will. Appreciate it, man. And Will's one of the oldest OGs that's been with us the whole time, dude.
A minute and a half.
God, you've been here, I think, since the first summer. I remember your name. It's holy smokes.
Back when we were sweating our asses off in Sherman Oaks.
Jersey Mike's and NXT on the network. We'll get into all those recaps because stop it, I'm going to get upset. Thank you, Will James.
For the first hour because we're trying to swallow our sandwiches.
Right. Uncle Greg, we had a Nick Guard 1 sighting. Uncle Greg picked up a BWO Tunes tee off the BWOmerch.com store. Guys, that is still available. You can still pick up some merch while you can.
Now's the time. Yeah.
Now's the time.
Now's the time. Going.
Thank you very much, Uncle Greg. Please let us know how that shirt turns out for you. Trans Zombie threw in 100 bits, said coming out as transgender has been really hard, and y'all being so accepting as a group in the wrestling community has been a bright spot in my life, and I will never forget you. Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
So appreciated, and much love to you.
And
seriously.
much love that we got to share that, and thank you for sharing that with us. Costanza threw in another 100 bits, said Extreme Rules was shit. That's a headline.
Blunt,
right? That's
the point.
No pulled punches right there.
All
Absolutely. Right. We're gonna get into that. And speaking of which, let's do that. Let's before Nick gets even more upset. Let's drink some beer and let's go over and talk about what a shit show was on Sunday night. Something called Extreme Rules.
Well, before we get into Extreme Rules, we got 200 bits from Sheppy, the good Brad Shepard.
Oh, man.
The good Brad Shepard. He says, you guys gave me my moniker.
Not that shitty ringside news, Brad Shepard.
Not that. He's not even with them anymore. Even they can't stand him. He said, you guys gave me my moniker, the good Brad Shepard, and I've tried to live by it. Thank you all. Thanks for all you guys and Brooke have given the phenomenal ones with this show, and also having some fun with the mailbag episodes. Man, To everybody, to everyone who has tipped in, thank you very much. Cheers. Cheers to you. Thank you guys, each and every one. Cheers.
Oh, that's delicious. It's cold and crisp. Thank you, Sheppy.
Mine is warm. Mine is a nice 58 degrees, the perfect temperature at which to consume a porter. It's quite lovely. I've been aging it for 3.5 years now. Nearly 4. Extreme Rules. All right, let's talk about it.
I'm not even hovering. Ian, I just want you to know I'm not even hovering on the hot button tonight. It's a free for all. Yeah, I know you've been conserving your F-bombs. I know there were several calls for you to purge all of them.
If you have kids, you may want to be a little bit careful of the show. There may be a couple of F-bombs dropped.
Yeah.
But maybe not, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, Extreme Rules, to me, was not an offensively bad pay-per-view. It was just startlingly mediocre. You had a bunch of matches that were fairly well worked, of some of them excellently well worked. You had almost no plot development whatsoever. You basically were trying to keep the status quo because the draft's coming up. You don't want anything too big to happen, so no titles change hands. And really the only big story to come out of it is the absolute abomination of a finish of the main event, which we'll talk about in a second. But just quickly running it down, here's the thing. It's been a couple days now. There's no need to dwell on it. Let's just run through it.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan beat Carmella on the kickoff show. She got a nice little pop from the crowd. It was a fairly decent match, aside from the sound issues that we were having during the match. The Spanish announce team and the regular announce team were heard over each other. So anyone who wants to come along and say AEW is amateur because they have sound issues sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, $1 billion company. But it was a decent match. It was fine. It was just a 10-minute match, which I would say would be a SmackDown quality match, but you can't have a women's match for more than 3 minutes on SmackDown, so it was actually a decent length SmackDown women's match. So Liv Morgan picks up the win. Yeah,
this wasn't even the SmackDown match of the night that I was upset about.
Oh, you were upset about the later? Oh, okay, well, we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. Opening the show, a thrown together, because this show was so well planned, thrown together match between the New Day, the reformed New Day, because brand split, doesn't matter. They faced off against Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos. It was a fun match with a fun ending with Big E pinning Bobby Lashley, which after Lashley had a little bit of miscommunication with AJ Styles. Could they coexist, Nick? The answer was no.
Services!
Nope. Could not coexist. Lashley spears AJ. Lashley eats a big ending and the 1, 2, 3. And yet somehow still gets a title shot on Monday Night Raw. Okay. Hashtag WWE logic. But it's okay because it was actually an entertaining match and it did actually have some repercussions for later in the week.
Sure.
All right, cool. Then we had the Usos versus the Street Profits for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Again, Montez Ford selling that he was injured coming into this match. So it was mostly Dawkins working, which turned out to be a good thing. Dawkins can go.
Yeah.
Like Dawkins, people always talk about Montez. People forget Dawkins is a beast.
Dawkins can work.
Dawkins can work. And he was in there putting in that work against both of the Usos. Even though at the end, the Usos did ultimately prevail with a double Uso splash and the 1, 2, 3, retaining their SmackDown tag team titles. A nice little match. Just ultimately with, it was basically, to me, it felt like an amped up SmackDown match. Like this could have main evented SmackDown.
You had the high spot of Montez Ford jumping into another state over the ring post onto both of the Usos in the corner. Like that was beautiful. But yeah, I agree. I feel like I've seen all this. Like, what? Make me care. And I just, I've kind of been excited for this feud since last year's draft, and especially once they got the titles back. Like, this is the kind of the one that I've been wanting to get. It just hasn't gotten there.
The problem with this was it was a very good match that never got into the gear it needed to get into. Yeah. Like, you always felt like when New Day and Usos had their classic rivalries, you always felt like the matches kicked into that higher gear. This never got there. It had a couple of great spots. I'll say fourth gear. Never felt like it hit fifth gear. And pay-per-views, when you bust out the fifth gear, boys, that's when you go hard. And it never really went hard.
Yeah.
Partly maybe because Montez was selling. I don't know. But it just never quite got there. Maybe there's more down the line. Maybe not. The draft is coming up. We have no idea. So we shall see. And then came Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship, which actually saw Alexa do some wrestling. They actually had some pretty good chemistry in that ring. And then, of course, it became all about stupid Lily. And Charlotte tore Lily up, ripped Lily apart. Alexa Bliss freaked out.
She pulled a bad luck Fale and just demolished Lily.
After she'd already beaten her. I mean, she picks up Lily, tosses her Alexa, and Alexa, who we're supposed to believe is an idiot, she can shoot fireballs and control people's minds and teleport things and telekinesisize things, but yet you throw a doll at her face and she goes, and you give her a natural selection in 1, 2, 3. You can beat her. Okay. Okay.
I get
what?
Nothing.
And then Charlotte tears up Lily and Alexa freaks out. And to Alexa's credit, some very nice distressed acting here and losing her mind acting here. Although I think they hampered her a bit by making her take an Alka-Seltzer and trying to make an effect like she was foaming at the mouth. But here's the problem. If you've just worked a match and you're sweaty, you might be dehydrated. If you're dehydrated, you're not producing enough saliva in your mouth to activate an Alka-Seltzer. And then it's just going to sit in your mouth like a big old...
Like a cert. Remember certs?
Yeah.
Like it's just going to sit there on your tongue. And then they do these crazy zoom-ins, and all you see is like, there's a giant white disc on her tongue that's just sitting there.
She's screaming and trying to make foam, and she opens her mouth, and there's a giant toilet cake on her tongue.
Right.
She's, ah! An effect that absolutely did not work, and perhaps might have been a bit of foreshadowing for later in the evening for a finish that had maybe good intentions, but just was completely stupid upon actually executing it. So Alexa Bliss just loses clean to Charlotte because Charlotte things and Alexa Bliss things and WWE things. And then we got Damian Priest.
Real quick, is that the write-off of the Alexa Bliss thing?
God, let's hope so.
Killing Lily, is that...
Alexa's
is that allegory for getting rid of the Alexa Bliss character? Is that killed off now? Is she going to come back as the Punk Princess character?
No, I doubt that. I said I will answer your question with a visual example. So for those of you listening to us, this might not work. But remember when you said Hiromu got his cat torn apart?
Uh-huh. Wait, he's back.
I'm just saying.
Oh. Apparently you can get new ones on WWEshop.com for $20. So go get one.
Alexa, don't worry.
Head on over to WWEshop.com and pick up a brand new Lily doll.
Hey, what do you know? Next up, we had Damian Priest versus Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus for the U.S. title. Why Jeff Hardy was in this? I don't know.
We'll talk about that some more when we get to Raw.
Why this wasn't, actually an Extreme Rules match.
But it's a triple threat, Ian. That's extreme.
I don't know. It's an Extreme Rules. And yet, Damian Priest just wins clean. Cool, he retains. Awesome. It was a fine match. Nothing bad about it. It was just there. It was just there. I'll go ahead and spoil it. Damian Priest and Sheamus tore down the house on Monday night in a match they should have had here. And that was an Extreme Rules match. They had tables and kendo sticks, and they both looked like they had been to war after the Monday night match. Once again, WWE showing us you don't need to watch the pay-per-views because they'll just put on a rematch on Monday that's better.
Yeah. WWE champion.
Because it was. So, yeah, this match was just kind of there. And then we had, Nick, and I know this is going to be a soapbox moment for you, so I'll set it up and back off. Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. In one of the more anticipated matches of the night, Bianca finally getting her hands on Becky when she's not getting sucker punched and punked out in 26 seconds. And they had a great match. Fantastic match. Becky's, I'm not going to say rusty, but maybe a half step off, but still, like, Bianca more than made up for it. Some great strength spots from her. Becky did a great job of making her look amazing. Amazing. One of the things that we did say about the SummerSlam screw job, for lack of a better word, maybe that's a little too sensitive, but it's one of the things we said about that is it does set everything up to be the right alignment for a really good Bianca Belair babyface push, right? She's chasing Becky Lynch. She's chasing a heel, a strong heel. That's going to be a great position for her. Totally is. She's great at this. Mm-hmm. She's great at being the fiery babyface who just needs to get the heel in the right position, and she's going to beat her, no problem. But she did not get to do that this time not because Becky Lynch had anything to do with it, but because Sasha Banks did. Sasha Banks inexplicably runs out and beats up Bianca Belair, causing her to win, but not win the championship. Becky Lynch retains, and then Sasha attacks Becky, and there's a whole kerfuffle. Nick, what did you think about this match with a DQ finish on a show entitled Extreme Rules?
It's hard to talk about it on its own without referring to what went down last night on Raw. We saw more extreme things on Monday Night Raw the night after Extreme Rules than we did on Extreme Rules. We had cage matches. We had matches getting restarted. We had we've had more stuff happening on TV than we have at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Why all of us... At some point, you're going to have to move on from the 4 horsewomen of NXT. For some reason, in this moment where Bianca Belair is fighting upwards and is going like all of the stuff you were just describing, why now muddle this with reintroducing Sasha Banks? What? She missed the SummerSlam thing, and they're still selling the SummerSlam t-shirts of her and Bianca. So we're just gonna insert her to kind of make that merch relevant and keep it going.
Sorry. Are we gonna have a 3-way between Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch? Give me that. That's a great call. You can't have Bianca Belair lose this match. You can't have Becky lose this match. There's got to be some kind of fudge finish. Having Sasha run out, lend some star power. That makes more sense than a lot of other finishes on this card. It made sense to me. I didn't like it. It wasn't a fun finish, but that's why you have this in the secondary position. You have a finish that you don't feel satisfied with, so it can build to a finish later that you do feel satisfied with, and then you end the show in a satisfying finish. Except they didn't do that. Except, yeah, that was the part of the memo they didn't
That is a very nice thought, Sir Ian Dangerous.
Yeah. Well, that was, at this point in the pay-per-view, that's what I thought was, okay, kind of figured that they weren't going to have Becky give away the title right now. There was going to be a fudge finish. If you did have an Extreme Rule stipulation here, it would be a lot harder to just have an easy way out, like having a DQ finish. Okay. If you'd made the U.S. title match a tables match, if you'd made, I know the TLC's coming up, so you can't always do that, but no DQ, last man standing, whatever, something with Extreme Rules. Any other match besides the main event was the only one that was no DQ. You could easily have just made a couple of other matches, the New Day versus the opening 6-man tag. Make it a tornado tag, no DQ. Who cares? It would have been entertaining. Make Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss, no DQ. It didn't matter. All these matches had straight up finishes, and all you needed was you bring in some weapons in a couple of them, and it would have sold the name of the pay-per-view. As it was a bait and switch because WWE's call it Unforgiven, call it No Mercy, call it anything but Extreme Rules because you say you're going to have Extreme Rules, and there was no fucking Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
They were normal rules. And I know this has been beaten to death ad nauseum by all of wrestling media by this point because we're coming in 2 days late. But the point still stands. All Out just happened. One of the best pay-per-views I've seen in years. And WWE is already having to field a lot of speculation from the public about how they're going to respond to this insurgent other brand that is taking away their time and internet space. And they respond with this show? A bunch of overbaked regular weekly program matches with no Extreme Rules, which is the name of the show that you're supposed to be doing. You hype up a show given its name and then don't deliver on what that name says? Again, not a bad show, just mediocre. Just not giving us what you say you're going to give us.
It's
That's
the
not
one
good
time
business.
of the year that WWE goes extreme. Really? Because I saw more extreme stuff 24 hours later on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. So it was sad in a lot of ways. Again, not bad, just mediocre.
Yeah.
Except for the finish to the main event. Roman Reigns versus the Demon Finn Balor. Now, Nick, you and I have spent some serious spit equity over the last couple of weeks talking about how it's just stupid to send the Demon Finn Balor against Roman Reigns. This is something that they have done time and time again since time immemorial in WWE, creating a big match that they'll get the fans hyped because, ooh, cool character versus cool character, except you can't have either cool character lose in that scenario, so you have to come up with some sort of fudge finish to protect them both, and inevitably they come up with a fudge finish that just pisses off the fans. Whether it's Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins, and Hell in a Cell, whether it's Dean Ambrose getting fried in the face with a monitor that he found under the ring, hologram singing children, whatever, what have you. They find these stupid ways to end these matches, and it leaves fans unsatisfied and sitting there going,
unsatisfied.
You couldn't have found a better way than that?
Well, my original hang-up was that they had Finn spend 4 hours putting all the makeup on for a 20-second spot on TV.
At the end of an episode of SmackDown.
At the end of SmackDown last week.
Poor bastard.
And I'm not, on paper, I'm not mad at Finn summoning the demon or the demon coming forth to face a monster in the scale of Roman Reigns. I'm not mad at that. But do it at the pay-per-view. That was the first thing I was like, it's left a bad taste in my mouth ever since. And I could never really get into this as much as I really wanted. I would have marked the fuck out if it had just been like Prince Balor coming out for the 2 weeks ago. I want my title shot back. I want my Universal title back, all that stuff, right? And then we get to the pay-per-view and Roman comes out and he's like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and then the demon is, but that's the whole thing, Nick, is that they wanted to promote this whole pay-per-view was promoted on the fact that the demon was coming back. That was the only reason to watch this pay-per-view in any kind of promotional sense. It's all they had. Nothing else on the show they could use to get people to watch. The Bianca and Becky, maybe, but they knew that was going to be a finish that no one's going to like. So they made it a big deal that the demon was coming back. That was the selling point. But for anyone who's a fan of the demon, as you and I said on this show for last 2 weeks, for anyone who's a fan of the demon, this is heading to be a debacle.
Yep.
Because you don't need Roman to he's beaten everybody. Why take the demon away? Why ruin the demon? Why have him get a win over the demon? Just to have one more feather in his cap? Like Vince has been doing this since the freaking 70s, where you have the top guy that just beats everybody. And at a certain point, we just don't care.
Yeah.
Because if you have one guy beat everybody, then there's no one that we care about to face him. Like at a certain point, we just get bored with it. And guess what? After this match, Nick,
uh-oh.
I'm so bored with Roman Reigns. Hey, see this? See this right here? See him? Get off of here. Get out of here. Come here. Goodbye.
Wow. Bringing it back to 2017, folks.
It's ridiculous at this point. He doesn't need it. And it's not just that he beat the demon, which we said was probably going to be the case, unless there was some sort of fudge finish, which would have left things open-ended, which we said that was the best way to do it, is just have neither one win or a DQ finish. Extreme Rules, you can't. You shouldn't. They decided the way to do this was after Finn Balor as the demon was just royally whooping up the whole, like, at one point Roman chases him into the arena and he has to put on a mask to go in the arena, which was a funny visual, but also both worked for his character and out of kayfabe because he is actually immunocompromised. But But
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like, he should be wearing a mask. I was like, good. That's good safety, WWE. You kind of played it up. But the Demon even had a kendo stick that was a wrapped ball of kendo sticks. Like, that's how badass he was. Like, I use super kendo sticks. Like, it's like Finn watched every anime ever before this match. And he was like, I'm going to make the Demon the most anime character ever. I'm going to have him get murdered. At the end of this, the Usos end up teaming up on him, beating him up. He puts one of them through a table, kills the other one with a sling blade into the barricade, turns around. Roman spears him through the barricade after getting beat up. Roman's down. The Usos are down. Finn's down. Face flat on the ground. And the lights flash red. Dong, 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 dong. And Finn's body kind of convulses like he gets hit with the electroshock. Yeah. Dun, dun. And then the lights flash again red. Dun, 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 dun. And he flops again. And then it happens again, longer, and then his music starts up. The lights drop down to red, which, if you've watched the history of The Fiend, you know is always a bad sign because WWE will inevitably screw up this character if the lights go red. But his music starts playing. Well, I guess part of the Demon's superpower is being able to control the production truck because his theme music starts playing. And I'm not going to lie, Nick, at this point, I was sitting there going, oh, my God, this is so stupid. But then he stands up. He like draws himself up, like he's like a puppet, like a puppeteer pulling a string on his spine. And pulls himself up. Roman Reigns gets up, and Finn just starts no-selling everything. He goes super Balor, super Demon, right? Puts Roman, just slams Roman through a table like it's nothing. Beats the shit out of him. No-sells everything. And the music's playing the entire time, and it's like a Hulk up moment from an anime, right? It's like the superpowered moment when the character reaches their peak power and their theme song starts playing. Yeah, exactly, right. Your theme music plays when you get superpowered. It was awesome, and I was sitting there going, "Oh shit, Finn, dude, this is Finn, get him!" And the crowd was doing the same. The crowd was hyped.
He did that drop kick. Roman's cell where he jumped back into the table after that drop kick outside was magnificent.
Oh, dude, he sold it like Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam. It was amazing. And then Finn tosses him in the ring like he's a sack of potatoes, gets him on the top rope, going for the coup de grace. The crowd is fired up. It looks like Finn's going to win it because the Demon just is too overpowered. And then the top rope breaks. And Finn falls flat on his face in the ring. The lights just come back up. The music just stopped. And Finn's just in the ring. Huh? What happened? What happened? Holding on to his leg like, oh, I've gone and busted me leg. I don't know what now. I'm just a silly little Irish boy in stupid face paint. I don't know what to do now. Turns around, eats a Roman spear, 1, 2, 3. It was the most comical, ridiculous, like unintentionally comical.
Yeah.
Like he falls in his face. The light, I know it's supposed to be, he was shocked out of his demon, ultra instinct, whatever he was in.
Right.
He was supposed to be, he was shocked out of it. And he's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And then, in that moment of weakness, Roman pounces. I know that's what was supposed to happen, but it made Finn look ridiculous. It made the Demon look like a joke. It was so funny if you didn't have anything invested. And unfortunately, at that point, a lot of people did have a lot invested. And anyone who had anything invested at that point was sitting there going, fuck you!
There's what I was going around that the rope couldn't handle the weight of Finn's massive dick. And I'm so
haven't laughed that hard in a long time. I'm so furious we didn't do a show immediately after, because that was my first thing that I thought.
Right.
Was you think Finn Dog is oppressive? You should see
Demon
Dong.
Yes.
Demon Dong don't play. I mean, Lashley and Big E on the top rope on Monday Night Raw, no big deal. But Demon Finn and his copious anime Demon Dong on the top rope, that's deadly.
Yeah.
That spells disaster for you at Sacrifice, which would have been a better name than Extreme Rules for this pay-per-view.
Because they sacrificed
the demon to Roman goddamn Reigns.
Sacrifice the demon.
And they also sacrificed a lot of their fans who watched All Out and then watched this and went, aha, I see what side my bread is buttered on now.
Bah.
I'm so glad I invested all that in the Demon. I'm out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Again, and the problem is that Finn and Roman put on a great main event before this. And this didn't need to be, like, I understand what they were going for. And, like, even, like I said, initially when they started doing the whole Finn is resurrected with the red lights, I was like, oh, this is stupid. But they brought me back on it. Like, that's the crazy thing, is there was something that was kind of campy, cool, stupid, fun about that. But then to just throw a bucket of cold piss on that was inexcusable. It was horrible. It's one of the worst finishes, and WWE's got a bunch of them. That's one of the worst finishes they've ever done.
It's akin to the Brock Roman finish where they bust through the cage and the fence falls over. And, Roman's out first. Even first, or he
right.
won. No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. Brock obviously hit first. Like, oh God.
It just It took all the wind out of the legacy of the Demon. At like a wet fart in church. Just bye, Demon.
That being said, we now know what the Demon's weakness is.
The weight of his own dong?
Samoan's name, Joe.
Oh. Waka, waka, waka.
Hey! But there you go. That was Extreme Rules. Or, as we should say, normal rules.
Yeah. Not so extreme rules.
Not so extreme rules. Anything to catch up on, sir, before we move on?
Oh, God, yeah. We've had a hype train. We've had all kinds of stuff going on.
All right. Let's go.
Okay, let me rapid fire here. Uncle Greg with 100 bets. Fuck! Just checking. Thank you, Uncle Greg. Costanza with 100 bets.
Hide your wives, hide your kids.
GOR got Nick and Ian's F-bombs. There you go. There's going to be a handful of them. Thank you, Chris. Killer B-Rock resubscribed with the tier 1 for 13 months. Oh, you're earthquaking over there. Extreme Rules was worse than the 24-hour prep for a colonoscopy.
Damn.
And
I'll give you some chicken for that colonoscopy. Thank you very much, Killer B-Right, for the tier 1. Costanza threw in another 100 bits for the hype trace. All I can say about WWE right now is WTF. It's kind of a mess. Brooke Winters threw in 100 bits for the hype train. Thank you, Brooke. Costanza threw in another 100 bits for the hype train. Sheppy, Trans Zombie, Brooke Winters. All threw in 100 bits for the hype train. Marshall with 100 bits said just rules 2021 was extremely painful. Just rules. Just rules.
Rules. WWE rules.
WWE rules.
They should have called it that. It would have been better.
Yeah.
It would have been better.
Trans Zombie with 100 bits said they needed the Wheel-O gimmick match, and every match someone spins the wheel.
Dude, why don't they bring that back? Lucha Underground did it. It's the best.
It's amazing.
The best. Oh.
They tried to do it at Halloween Havoc, wasn't it, with Gargano and Priest?
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah. Oh, I love the wheel.
That was good.
And that was when
Marshall with 100
Johnny
bits.
hated wheels. Remember, that's when Johnny hated wheels, too.
Oh, that's right. It just totally adds to the kayfabe. I love it. Marshall with 100 bits said, tell paranormal hunters to set up broken rings in haunted houses. We broke the code.
I'm there.
I understood that reference. I'm addicted to those stupid zany shows. Thank you, Marshall. Sheppy threw in 100 bits. Said, can we talk about the Demon King's version of a kendo stick? That was awesome. We did.
Yes,
Thank you,
did.
Sheppy.
That's amazing. It
is awesome. Brian threw in 200 bits. Thank you, Brian. Said the only time the main roster really did the Demon right was WrestleMania 35 when it wasn't announced beforehand, as far as I remember. Yeah.
And then
he just shows up for the pay-per-view.
That was when he smashed Lashley in I think 45 seconds.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yep.
Trans Zombie with 100 bits. WWE.
No,
and then WWE.
Ziggler.
What? Oh, he's getting Roman.
We know his history with Roman Reigns.
Yes. Abe knows it intimately
Abe
well.
Castillo in particular knows his history with Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
He's not a fan. he's like, there can be only one big dog. And it is I. Ooh ah. It is I, Dog Ziggler, the true big dog. Yes, good boy.
Trans Zombie cheered 100 bits, said, and then WWE shit the bed. Yes, they did. Kyle finally with 100 bits said BWO had to go off the air after today because Garza Dong, Finn Dong, and Demon Dong is just too much dong to handle on main roster for BWO Universe to handle. I'm personally intrigued by the finish, but I think it's shit if the follow-up doesn't land. I'm skeptically optimistic. You expect there to be a follow-up?
I'm just going to point something out, Kyle. That's a lot of handling of dongs there.
That's a lot of
dong handling.
Yeah, it is.
Just pointing that out.
Whew.
Too much dong to handle. Ooh. No.
Gives a new phrase to the Black Crow song, Hard to Handle.
I think that, well, first of all, it's a cover, and second of all, that is the intention of that song. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Thank you. And we're all caught up, so that means we can stop talking about what a crap piece of pay-per-view that was.
What a pants-wetting fart that show was. And move on to what happened last night on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, goodness.
I'm calling this the wish we'd thought of a lot of this booking sooner edition of Raw.
Yes. What Extreme Rules should have been Monday Night Raw.
What we should have been doing the last couple of weeks on Raw. This was a good episode of Raw.
It was all right.
It was pretty good.
It was all right.
We had a bunch of fantastic wrestling matches.
It had an identity crisis. It has no idea what it wanted to be.
Well, the identity crisis because the draft is next week. They have no idea.
They're just making shit up. Like, hey, you go out there. That's fine. I don't care if it doesn't make any sense.
Elbows pulling shit out of their own ass to make this Raw happen. And you know what? It worked better than anything they've done in the last couple of months. Can you believe it? Big E and Lashley continued their feud after Extreme Rules. Lashley was mad that he got pinned, so he demanded another match against Big E. It opened up Raw, Big E versus Lashley. Man, these two guys are a joy to watch.
Yes.
Big, meaty men slapping the meat. If this was a whole bunch of beef on this show, this was a steakhouse. There was so much meat on this show between Garza Dong and these two guys having a match. But they didn't just have one match, Nick, because they started the show with a match that was fantastic and hard-hitting. And dear God, these guys hit each other hard. There was a mutual clothesline outside that was like a couple of bulls colliding in a paddock. And this match went to a DQ finish, or because at one point it seemed as like, first of all, Big E, that spear that he does through the ropes freaks me out every time. Lashley's on the outside. He spears him through the ropes, falls to the outside. And who should be sitting outside but Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin? What?
The Hurt Business is back in the Raw zone.
They were wearing the Hurt Business. It's like nothing had happened. They're buddies again. They're working for Lashley again. What? It's like somewhere WWE just did the Men in Black thing where they and they just erased your memory. Like, no. They're cool. Just forget everything that happened. Hurt Business back together. And you know what, Nick? I was so happy to see Hurt Business back together. I was like, yep, cool. All is forgiven. Just, you never should have broken them up in the first place, you fucks. But here we are. We're back. Thank God. Yes. Hurt Business is back. My boys. MVP's out. Lashley's got to have some dudes with him. Yes. Good.
I love the confrontation and the stare down. So Big E does this, the spear throw, chucks Bobby Lashley back in the ring, or but Lashley's still selling, and Big E just kind of looks up, and he looks up at Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric's looming behind him, and he just,
oh damn,
like, oh shit. And he just kind of calmly just goes over, all right, y'all ain't putting hands on me. All right. Goes back over, grabs Lashley, throws him back in the ring. They keep going.
What did he call him later? He said, I don't know why you brought your narrow asses down to the ring, but
yeah.
Oh, man. That promo Big E cut later on the night was just, that was, pardon the pun, the business.
Yeah.
But the business was not done there. They were obviously looking to interfere in the match. Big E gets back in the ring, distracted. Lashley hits him with the spear. Looks like it's all over, but New Day breaks down to the ring in time to break it up. There's a whole big brawl in the ring. The match gets thrown out, and there's a big six-man brawl, which, of course, brings out Adam Pearce from the back. 5-time NWA champ, I might add, Adam Pearce. He
Channeling
comes out,
William Regal also, I might add.
had that wrestling voice going, this
Yeah, he
is
did.
not how this is going to go down.
And he came out and
We
he
are
went,
gonna
War
see
Games!
this.
And no, he didn't
Yeah.
do that at all.
No, but he did something very close. He
Yeah.
said, if you guys can't keep your cronies away from the ring, then we're going to have the kind of match where 2 men enter and get to fight alone. And that means that the WWE Championship will be defended later tonight in a steel cage.
Oh.
I got hyped. He did a
Yeah.
damn good job.
And
I was
the
like,
crowd popped hard
yeah.
for it. Yes.
Get it. Okay, cool. Throw out this first. We just saw like most of a great match, and they gonna do it again in a cage later tonight. Yeah. All right. Sweet. Done and done. And it felt logical. It felt like it made sense. It was rationale for having a stipulation that you could have had the night before when it was Extreme Rules.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
saying,
We could have done that on the previous week's TV and
Coulda
then led it
had
to
a
the steel cage match at Extreme
steel
Rules. I'm just
on
saying.
the pay-per-view. It's okay. You know why? Because it made for a really good Raw. So screw it. And sure enough, like I said,
Which is few and far between at this point.
I tell you, they saved it up, and they were like, well, we can let the pay-per-view go. We hear people aren't liking Raw. We're getting beaten in the demo, so let's scupper the pay-per-view and make Raw better. Hashtag WWE logic. Main event time. Big E's cut a sick promo in the back. Lashley's cut a very fired up promo, although you can see why he has MVP be his spokesman. And we get to the main event, Big E versus Bobby Lashley in a steel cage. And sure enough, Lashley beats him up before we even get in. It's a slobber knocker. They're beating the crap out of each other. Great match. Strangely enough, for these two big hosses of dudes, after watching the whole 180-pound Finn Balor and his 170-pound dong go right through the top rope on Sunday, they decided to spend a good third of this match up on the top ropes.
Well, they learned their
Trying to climb
lesson
out
on
the gate.
Sunday, and they've reinforced them for Monday night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's the kayfabe. WWE should hire you. They really should.
No.
Help explain things.
No.
But yeah, a lot of time on the top rope, a lot of time trying to escape out the cage. Ultimately, Lashley beats down Big E enough that he thinks he can walk away. By this point, the Hurt Business has hit the ring and tried to get in. The New Day came in to stop Lashley from leaving and tear Hurt Business off the sides of the cage. So now it's back to one-on-one. Big E's been beaten to shit, though, so Lashley goes, cool, I'm done. I'm just going to walk out the door disrespectfully. Yeah, that's right. You can get the view that everyone was getting when I was paired with Leo Rush. Lashley's backside. Starts to walk out the cage. Big E grabs his hand. Get off me, son! Kicks him, beats him down again. Goes to walk out again. Big E kind of weakly grabs his other hand. Get off me, son! Beats him down again. Goes one more time, and Big E just grabs him, and Lashley goes, fine, okay, you're not going to let me out. I'll beat the crap out of you. But by this point, Big E has recovered enough. They start tussling again. They tussle back into the ring, tussle up onto the top. Or Lashley, like, okay, I can't make it out the door. I'm going to go out the side of the cage. Starts to climb over. Big E goes up after him, grabs him, hooks him up. Avalanche, big ending. 1, 2, 3. Big E beats Bobby Lashley. Clean as a whistle in a cage on Monday Night Raw.
The one point of contention, and it's a nit. It's a little nit with this. The whole point of having the steel cage match was to keep Hurt Business out, but halfway through the match, they come back out and are climbing over the top of the cage to get into the match. And I'm sitting here going, okay, you really nailed the opening of this Raw by setting up a stipulation main event like this, but it was to prevent the very thing that's happening right now. And then New Day comes back out and it's distraction from what's actually... I wanted to see these two beat the absolute shit out of each other, which we kind of did, but a third of the match was Kofi doing a high spot, and I didn't need to see all that shit.
Oh, come on, you fuddy-duddy. That was a great way to kind of put a little bit of something new in the middle of this particular match. Let the guys take a break for a second. They've been working. So you have the clown show come out in the middle of the act. It's Kofi Kingston doing a dive off the side of the cage, and Xavier Woods. All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming in the middle of the ring. Right. Corey even called it out. He says, "Right, well, thank you, Adnan." Corey even said it at the one point. He's like, this is what they were trying to avoid. And, oh, thank God, New Day's coming out to keep this even odds. You know what I mean? Like, it was a fun little aside in the middle of the match. It did not have any bearing on the finish. Fine.
I mean, Big E was about out of the cage, and Hurt Business is beating him back down into the cage.
And then Lash tried to get out, and New Day put him back in.
Sure.
So it was fine. It, honestly, like, I didn't mind it because it was the sort of thing where you go, why don't their teams come out to help?
Why are these two giant dudes locked in a steel cage? At least we got a clean finish. I'm gonna end it by saying that.
Yeah.
At least we got a clean finish out of it. You and I have both been on the same page about what is the point of a steel cage with two giant kaiju of men in there to beat the shit out of each other if all they're going to do is try and climb out of the cage or go out the door. Like,
They're supposed to be in the grudge match until one of you falls.
Right.
You know, that's what it should be. But whatever. Again, I don't like WWE cage matches. I like the cage match where the whole idea is y'all are locked in there. Settle your business. No one leaves until one of you falls. That's a cage match. Yeah. Please, this is our last show. I'm going to leave y'all with that. Cage matches should be we in here until one of us dies.
Thunderdome AF. Like, 2 men enter, 1 man leave.
The reason they had to ultimately do the Hell in a Cell is because they screwed over the cage match and defanged it, and they had to make it a Hell in a Cell where you couldn't escape, even though everyone has since the dawn of the Hell in a Cell. Right. But the point is that's what a cage match is supposed to be. If you go back to roots, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
So a couple questions here, Nick, before we move on to the rest of the show. What do you think of Big E so far as the champ of champs?
I'm digging
WWE champ. Yeah,
I think we've been on the Big E train when they broke him off of New Day.
Totally.
We kind of had that hunch that at some point, we weren't really sure when or how, but we kind of had the hunch that they were going to send him after, they were going to give him a world title. And we weren't sure if it was, we thought he'd be a good opponent for Roman. Whether or not he won was kind of and then it was kind of a foregone conclusion once he won the briefcase. I don't think he was going to go after Roman at that point. I think I remember calling Big E for the briefcase. And I think it was Lashley at that point. So yeah, this has played out pretty predictably, but pleasingly. I've enjoyed it. I'm enjoying Big E as champ.
I am too, and I'm enjoying what Lashley's character is doing as well, where he's just infuriated that he feels he got screwed out of the title, kept coming back for it, and Big E finally had to say, okay, yes, you want to whine and complain about, oh, my knee hurts. I was just through a match. I wasn't ready. All right, fine, fool. Let's go in a cage. Let me prove to you I should be champ. And that's what this was. Yep. This was Big E undoing that one little kind of asterisk on his title reign was, well, you did kind of cash in your Money in the Bank on the champ while he was not 100%. So Big E's got to go, okay, cool. Let me prove I can beat him when he's at 100%. And he just did. Cool. They did now Big E's legitimized as a champ. He his promo on this show to me felt like badass champ promo 101. It was fantastic.
Yep.
I was hyped by the end of his promo. And people a lot of times say Big E's too goofy. He can't be serious. Go watch that promo. That promo made me feel at the end like he was about to whoop someone's ass.
Yeah, he's going to come through the TV and whoop my ass. Like it ain't me, Big. Yeah, like it ain't me.
Hey, let's eat some pancakes, man. Cool down.
Where's Kofi Xavier? Let's go back to the fun times.
Kofi, smoke him out. Something, man. He's freaking me out. Yeah. So yeah, agreed. I think Big E's been great as a champ. I love that they've kept Lashley strong. I don't feel like Lashley's been depowered at all. I feel like they just leveled up Big E to be on his level, and that's as it should be. Like we were saying for a while there, Lashley was nigh undefeatable, but now you kind of believe Big E just is that badass. He can toe-to-toe a guy that is as terrifying as Lashley is, which is how you should book. That's how it should feel. If you have someone who's a monster like Lashley, you need someone to beat him. You have someone who I don't know if our boy Big E is that strong, and then you find out he is, and it makes you feel better about him. It makes you want to cheer for him more because he overcame this monster, this dragon. Big E was the night that we didn't know if he was strong enough to beat the dragon, and they had built Lashley up to be that dragon, beating Drew McIntyre, beating Goldberg,